Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to, well, the other Alpha Tauri save, where we are currently trying to see if we can get some lower-rated team of drivers to World Championship here. This is probably a little bit harder than I anticipated, but I think it's still a fun little challenge. We're currently second in the World Championship. We are kind of contending with Verstappen, though, for the Drivers' Championship, which is probably what we're going to be going for here, honestly. And with us just being 14 points behind here, we might change in the near future our current setup, which is focused on research. We might go into, design, try and make a little bit more of a challenge towards the end of the season. I didn't have high hopes at the start, which probably had some effect on my choice to do research here too. But I think we could potentially again fight for the championship while ending up second in the well, fight for the drivers while coming second in the constructors. I think that's basically what I'm trying to say here. But we are about to start Canada. We're around 9, so there's still plenty left of the season to go. And Contreras is going to be our best bet. Again, the main problem that we have is that both our drivers suffer from low braking and also somewhat low smoothness, and that is definitely hindering our potential. Let's just put it like that. We could, of course, have a look here, see if we can find some better talents. Both Tsunoda and Sainz here are free agents, along with Perez, so there is potential here for better drivers if we really wanted to. But honestly, we're going to stick with the two drivers that we have. And if we fail, we might make some different choices next season. See if there's any better new gens then. But for right now, we're just going to have to stick with what we have and try and develop basically the braking for Contreras. And that is really what we're trying to do here. Not really going too well. We get most points in adaptability. We also need to do smoothness. So honestly, it's a bit of a rough choice here because there's none of these focuses for development do smoothness and braking, and both of them are actually incredibly important, I dare say. So well, let's see what we do here. Potentially, we should maybe run some pace long runs to get that smoothness up. Would make it a lot easier for us to do better strategies. But unfortunately, don't really have any choice. So we might just do development this season, try and get the championship here. Contreras does have a chance, so we'll see what we decide once these research projects are done. If we jump onto a little bit more into the car design aspect, give her a little bit of a better car, so she might potentially fight Verstappen. With that in mind, let's just jump straight into the Canadian GP, and hopefully we can have a good performance here. Let's see how it goes. So we're going to have a fairly interesting weekend here in Canada. We managed to get into first place with Contreras, but unfortunately Nyman here could not do the same, and that is rather unfortunate. She was actually just 100th away from making it into Q3, so with basically a lot of rain, switching from dries to wets to dries, basically for all three quality sessions, we made it was a little bit harder than we'd expect, but Contreras did actually make it to pole here. Bottas actually made it to third, so there's some interesting things that are going on with the teams, let's be honest. But I do also have a bit of a concern that I'd kind of forgotten about, because it's been a while since we've revisited this challenge of ours, and that is Contreras and her car. So the engine here is somewhat damaged, but we're going to need it to make it through this race. We could, of course, change it for the fresh one. I think we actually will. And we'd like to use this engine some more, honestly. But I think we are going to have to buy a fresh one here. We had a crash early in the season that put us out. We're going to have to take probably a new engine and a new ERS at the next race, which is going to suck massively. But I think it's just a penalty that we're going to have to take once we get there. Now, for the race itself here, it did say rain. But as you can see here from the expected... the expectance here, it's going to be very, very light until we hit around lap 55, where it's just going to go monsoon. So let's have a quick look here at what we expect in terms of strategy, the compound performance. Softs better than mediums for about 10 laps, which isn't much. Mediums has about 30 laps, actually closer to 27, but basically holds a pretty decent advantage. So we're probably going to do medium to hard, is what I'm thinking. Medium to hard like this, just go very aggressively. And even then, it is a little bit risky in terms of making the tires last till the rain, but I think this should be good enough for us, for both drivers. And I do not wish to delete that strategy. We're just going to do this. Keep in mind, both drivers have really low smoothness, so this should be good enough that we can actually make it last until we get to the rainy period. And that is going to be the key here, to manage the low smoothness, manage the low braking, and hopefully still have a fairly decent race here. So that's what we're going to go for. Nyman needs to make up as many places as possible by the time we get to the rain. So, while we could try something like soft, medium, hard. Basically, this is the best strategy. Even if we pit early, it will not give us a lot of overtakes, I think. So, we'll do this. It is decent. Doing soft save first just to pit earlier and get some overtaking done could benefit us. But again, I think mediums here, with the rain coming late, is just going to be the best choice.
The drivers are ready and raring to go. It's the Canadian Grand Prix.
Let's see if we can get a good start of the line here. Verstappen has opted for soft tires. That is a decent start though, so at least we got that for us. I think Verstappen is going to be ahead once we come around the second corner here. But even then, it's not a bad thing. Verstappen is on soft tires. They're going to wear out relatively quick. And that shouldn't be an issue for us. Actually, a lot of the top 10 here has elected to go for soft tires. Nyman has lost a position, but again, first couple laps here aren't that important in the big picture. Of course, losing positions is never fun. Getting into trouble is never fun, but again, as I said, the first few laps aren't really that big of a deal. It's once DRS opens and everyone else starts to try and take care of these tires that we're probably going to be seeing more gains. You can even see Contreras here being quicker in a straight line compared to Verstappen. So once we get DRS, that overtake should be a foregone conclusion. I am going to turn down the ERS usage here for both cars though. Save a little bit of it, because once we get the DRS on this lap, we should be able to catch back up. And if not, we can just deploy while they're using their energy, and that should be that shouldn't be an issue. So again, main goal here, let's just keep on doing the best that we can on these tires. We are going to be running attack. Attack is just the best. Keep in mind that even if you have red numbers here, it's not necessarily a bad thing, unless your degradation is higher than the expectance here. Contreras doing a good job here, and potentially, maybe, being able to get away from Verstappen already would be neat. But I don't have high hopes for that, but we'll try. And if we can break the toe here to Norris too, that really would be an unexpected bonus that we'll happily take. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's going to be very viable to break Verstappen's toe at the moment. But Norris we might actually be able to leave behind here, even though we have used the entirety of the battery at this stage. Just stacking that a little bit of extra oomph to make that happen. So we're going to be doing a little bit of harvesting here, back in second. But yeah, as soon as Verstappen's tires fall off, we'll have a much better chance of creating a gap and make ourselves put ourselves in a better position before the first pit stop. For Nyman, she's in a very long DRS train, which is making overtaking a bit rough, but we do have a little bit of energy, so we can always try to get something done here. But for Contreras, basically just kind of stay where you are. Recharge is more than good enough for her. But yeah, for Nyman, it's going to be rough. That's the thing. No matter how we do things here, it's going to be pretty rough. Degradation-wise, you can see we're also higher than the soft runners because we are attacking. But the DRS train here is definitely not doing us any favors. Although Nyman did get a move done on the Ferrari, so it's not all bad. Ferrari out of the way, Albon, Gasly should be a little bit easier to eat than Leclerc. But for the time being, as I said, we'll just sit back, relax, work our way upwards while we get closer to that first pit stop. We have gotten a virtual safety car here, and while it could be very tempting for us to take this opportunity to pit, I don't know if that's the right choice. Nick the Reese, what have you done? That is unfortunate. Bit of a lockup and then into the wall. But yeah, the question now is, should we take the opportunity to pit? So, Contreras and the Red Bulls have quite a large gap down to Bottas and Show. And if we take a look at the time considerations there, we have about 16 seconds pit stops under virtual safety car. So we're not going to pit here. It doesn't actually... there's no real reason to do such a thing. Bottas does pit. For the soft runners, it could be kind of beneficial, save a couple of seconds. But for us, it's not really anything that we want to take advantage of. Now, the second thing that I want to talk about here is Contreras has been trying to create gaps to Norris and Verstappen, but just been unable to do so. Every time we eke out a 1 to 2 second gap, they just DRS off each other and then catch up with us. So until we pit, I don't think we have any choice but to run with them. But if we can create a gap to Show here of 18 seconds so we can pit safely, that would be massive. So we'll keep on trying to make that happen, but for now, we don't really have anything in particular we can do with that. With the safety car ending, though, we're going to deploy for both cars, as it is a good chance to get overtakes done if someone is caught out. But yeah, we're just going to have to try and make the best out of it. As you can see here, Show gained a couple of seconds because of the where the safety car ended. Basically, I think we were in the middle of the straight. It takes a couple of seconds for us to accelerate up to top speed. So virtual safety cars on this track in particular can definitely hurt you if you get them at the wrong time. Now, you might see that we're pushing fuel more than I would usually do, and the reason that is incredibly simple. Once we get to this extreme rain period, we are going to recover a lot of fuel really rapidly. So basically, by pushing fuel to, say, 3 kilograms, maybe even 4 here would be doable, we'll be perfectly fine doing so because of this 20 lap worth of wet tire running. So that is why we're pushing fuel more than usual. Don't worry, there's nothing special about it, so to speak. It's just due to the fact that, well, that we are in a position where we kind of have the opportunity. For now, though, we're just going to sit it back again, wait for the pit stops. We have a bunch of cars pitting now. So potentially we might want to do the same, but honestly, they're going to be somewhat held up by other cars for the most part. Gasly actually come out in a really good spot here, but we can only really hope for, be hopeful here. Again, rain should be lap 49 now instead of 55, so I'm thinking we actually pit now. This is actually a good time to pit. This would be a nice time to pit. So we're going to take advantage. We're going to pit both drivers as soon as possible on this next lap, because with the rainy period moving closer, that is definitely gonna... That means we don't need to push these mediums as hard as we have been doing. So let's get Contreras in. Norris actually follows us in. So let's see if we beat him in the pits. We do not. That is unfortunate. Nyman here also gets held up in the pits by the Aston, so really not a good pit stop interval for us there, but nothing we can do with it. It's just unfortunately how this game handles having a pit box further back, so to speak. And that also kind of puts Contreras now in a kind of an off spot in terms of getting a gap created, but we'll still try and make that happen. We'll just have to see if we can pull that off. And Norris here actually has gone for another set of softs, as has Verstappen. They can probably make those nurse those softs until we get to the rainy period, don't get me wrong, but that's not something we would have been able to do. So that is why we've opted for the hard tire. But at least we should, 10 laps or so into this, have started to gain a bit of an advantage over the soft runners. And that should allow us to create a gap as we get closer to the rainy period. Now, Nyman did end up pretty far back, so the main focus that I'll have for the time being is to move her forward in the group. But, yeah, this pit stop did not really work out in our advantage at all, so that's going to be a little bit of a rough job going ahead. Let's see how we do it, though, if we can get further up. And we've actually gotten a safety car deployed here, which is not great. But it does give us a little bit of a question for us if we want to now pit for soft tires, because it's just less than 10 laps until we get to the rainy period. So I think the key here is just that we're going to have to stay out. There's just no other way around it. Losing position at this stage is not great. So that might have been almost a red flag, but yeah. Smashed us into the wall there. I think we have no other choice than to stay out and try and make the best out of it. It is going to make pit stops once it actually starts raining, though. Hell, the safety car. So
Safety car. Stay positive.
that safety car is going to decide a lot. I understand Bottas pitting, honestly. He's pretty safe when it comes to that. A lot of cars are actually pitting, but it's not really going to change anything in the big picture. They can go very aggressive once they come out because the rainy period now at lap 46. So yeah, I don't think we have any choice but to just stay out. It is the best thing we can do.
We have more rain in the pit lane now. More rain.
Rain is arriving in 4 minutes, and it's going to be very, very light, as you can see, until we get there proper, so to speak. We also are going to be able to push fuel even more now because we're back to almost positive on the fuel load here. So this race not really working out for us so far. Contreras is in third. Nyman is, well, one place up from where she started, but honestly, it's not really a good situation for us right now. Some drops of rain have started. 5 laps until we basically pit for wets. So we're just gonna have to run with the tires that we have right now, and we might actually delay the pit stops for a lap compared to the AI to try and make something happen. So safety car is in. I don't expect anyone to jump into the pits just yet. So the question now is, can we create the gaps that we need for pitting? And that is going to be kind of hard to judge. The soft runners, they have a bit of an advantage compared to us. And we have another safety car. That's going to make things interesting. Russell has crashed out. You see Nyman here, which is why I was concerned. Okay, so she actually avoids that. That is... that's actually impressive. I was certain she was about to T-bone Russell. Did we also crash? No, that's Russell again. We might have actually touched him. Oh. This could be red, honestly. But luckily enough, we weren't the one that touched Russell there. It is a red flag. That is... Okay. That is actually insane.
And that's the moment the car plows into the wall. And they'll have to pick themselves up after that.
That's insanely unlucky. Which has actually been the MO for the last few recording sessions. But yeah, we're going to be going on to the extreme wet tires. There is no reason not to. And the question now is going to be, are we going to have rain till the end, or are we going to have something else as well?
The track is ready, and so are the drivers.
Okay, so everything does seem to be set as we kind of wanted here. We're going to have a look at Contreras. I do want to check before we go the rain here, and it's going to go towards the Inters towards the end. That's going to make things interesting here. But yeah, there's basically, whoop, very rainy. Doesn't look like we had the best start for Contreras, but at least should be able to hold Alpine behind. Maybe not. That would be horrible. Yeah, Bottas, they did overtake us. Nyman is maybe losing out as well. That ain't great, Chief. Can we get it back? Maybe. Trying at least. Making it work. Very nice. We need to just beat Verstappen in this race. Oh, Bottas just comes back immediately. But yeah, Nyman up into 9th. Doing well. And basically now into the wet period, all that we need to do is manage tires. But as you can see here, we were negative 3 kilograms of fuel. Now we're positive 2.5. Mainly due to the red flag, but still, this does does provide some interesting scenarios. We even have a very cool track here, reminiscent of the Vegas race. Well, not even, but still, it's really cold, which means that we can push these wets as much as we want. And what we're probably going to end up doing here is recharging, attacking, and just trying to make something out of this. But yeah, wet racing is going to be a pain for us, and potentially if I'd known this was going to be a wet race like this, it might have been better for Contreras to take the penalties here. But we'll try and make the best out of it, see if we can recover somewhat. And while it's going to be somewhat difficult too, we'll try and make the best out of it. So for now, I'll be working again Contreras and Nyman further up the field by just recharging the energy, then attacking, and basically just doing that alternately, and see if we can get ourselves up into, well, better point scoring positions by the time we have to pit for Inters. Let's see if we can pull that off. We've had a bit of an incident here with Nyman, where she's just sitting at the side of the track, a bit of a lockup, unfortunately, and
Treacherous conditions out there.
it is unfortunate, but nothing we can do about that. It does put us all the way at the back of the field, though, and that is going to suck for getting back into the points. On a positive note, though, Contreras has gotten Verstappen, is currently trying to get Norris, and if she can do that before we go to Inters in, well, 6-7 laps, that would be amazing. So, looks like she might actually get the move done now. I was a little bit late to have a look at that. We'll have a quick look at the replay. But getting that move made should allow us to create a bit of a gap to the rest of the cars behind.
It's certainly inviting.
So yeah, pretty decent overtake. And as you can see, is creating that gap, extending it. Unfortunately, we didn't get fastest lap before we, well, got into wetter conditions, but it is what it is. We'll still try and get Nyman back up into the points, but that is going to be, I think, a difficult job. For now, though, we're just going to see if Contreras can extend this gap to the Red Bulls behind and put ourselves into a very, very good position come, as I said, that final pit stop. Now, these tires, the maximum overheat is 95 degrees, so we still have plenty of temperature to go on. So this is actually a pretty decent wet stint right now. But as we can see, the rainwater is coming down. We're probably going to go ahead and go into the Inters once we get to about 380, 370 maybe. We'll have to see what the AI does. We might try and have Nyman jump on the tire a little bit earlier than the rest and try and make up some places doing that. But right now it's kind of difficult to say honestly, but we'll try and make the best choice that we can. For Nyman, we're actually just going to jump on Inters right away, right now. Make sure that I pick the correct tire. And it is going to keep on going down. So the question now is, do we take the opportunity to pit Contreras now? Or do we push her for one more lap and try and see if Verstappen and Norris maybe pit? Verstappen we have a decent gap to. Norris is the big threat here. So what I am thinking is that we try and maybe wait one more lap, see if we can extend that gap to Norris a little bit. It is still fairly wet here, so I think it's fine. Norris elected to stay out, Verstappen elected to stay out. We have Bottas pitting. This should, in theory, mean that everyone will be pitting this following lap, so I'm thinking that we just push as much as we can, and we get Contreras in on this lap. Extend that gap a little bit before we pit. As you can see, it's actually doing really, really well with that, with the energy usage. And by extending that gap, we should have a fairly safe pit stop here. Now, Nyman has pitted. We're going to have to see how well she does. The fact that Red Bulls elected not to pit, and as did neither of the others, does put me in a bit of a concerning mood here. But I still think this should be okay. Give Contreras a little bit extra energy. She should overtake that Alpine. And as the rain gets lower and lower here, we should be looking better. Although that Alpine holding us up is not a good thing at all. Contreras gets the move done, and now just chase down Norris. Nyman, unfortunately, is still in the back of the grid, and the cars in front have already pitted to Inters. She's gonna have a bad time here with just 11 laps to go. So for Contreras, we're just gonna put our focus there and try and get this win. And as we can see, we're actually really, really lucky to some degree here with Leclerc, Piastri, Porsche, Albon, all of these not having pitted yet and holding up the Red Bulls, giving us even more of a gap to the cars behind. So for now, we'll speed along, get close towards the end, see if Norris and Verstappen has anything left that they can threaten us with here. And we've immediately had another incident after that. Albon and a Red Bull. I believe that is actually Verstappen. Nope.
Dangerous.
That was Albon and Verstappen indeed. So yeah, not the best there. But it's still just wet tires. Nyman is up to 15th. But even then, I think we are going to have, as I said, a hard time to get anything done. It's difficult to overtake. And with an incident now, with Albon and Verstappen, no penalties, unfortunately. Doesn't help us in any way, shape, or form. It could go to dry tires, say, for the last couple of laps. So you might actually have to jump into the pits once more. So this could still be a very, very interesting end to this race. For now, though, as I said, Nyman is going to be our main point of concern. She is doing a good job, but the battery is going to be the limiting factor here. So, might get her back in the points, might not. We'll do our best. Never mind. Nyman decided to spin, to completely dash that hope. So, it is unfortunate, but it is what happens. We'll just have to live with it. At least, I guess we could say that she didn't hit the wall. But yeah, that definitely does not do us any favors of any kind. And as you can see, because of that, her tire temp has gone through the roof. But nothing we really can do with that at the moment. We are going to have, if this continues going down as rapidly as it is, some dry running before the end of this this race. So, well, it still isn't completely, you know, impossible. It could still, we could still have something happening. I'm up into 12th now. And are these the final wet runners pitting? Would look like that. Are they going for dries? They are. They're going for dries with 130. Okay, that's an interesting strategy. I would not expect to see it. We'll have to see though, because we can actually use them as kind of guinea pigs right now. If we have a look at last laps for these three, if they can actually, you know, set some decent lap times. 25s right now. Okay, that's slower than what we're currently doing. But I would particularly expect on this lap that we might see something a little bit different, because now we are getting closer to the dries. And DRS has also been enabled, so what I am thinking is that we get Nyman in this lap, and we try and make something happen. For Contreras, we're going to keep around for one more lap, because we do have a fairly decent gap to play with. And currently 20, yeah, pitting on next lap is going to be beneficial. The question is it though? We should be able to catch Norris, to be honest, if we do pit. That shouldn't be an issue. So let's pit Contreras 2 on this next lap. And for Nyman, it's going to be a little bit difficult, but I still think it's going to be worth to pit here. The lap times should be a lot quicker for this one. Let's have a look at Albon, Piastri, and Show and see exactly what they're doing. They're doing 17s, so they're quicker now. And they're just going to keep on getting quicker. So Norris here, since he's technically on the wrong tire, should have to just step away, and he kind of did. And Contreras now should have no problem just extending that gap, and these inter-tires should start falling apart, with the dry here now being a 0.5, well, half a millimeter. So Contreras, we're going to have to conserve a little bit here just to save fuel. But for Nyman, we could potentially just go for snatching fastest lap, and that is actually what we're going to be doing. We're going to be going for snatching that fastest lap away from, well, we can also deploy here for Contreras. We're going to go ahead and try and snatch that fastest lap away from Red Bull on this lap, particularly since we have, well, we didn't actually have DRS, they just stepped away.
We don't have enough battery.
But we can still try and make something happen here. Did get fastest lap, did win, very good. Norris second is also beautiful for us. Let's see if Nyman here can actually need to forcefully slow her down. He's getting that fastest lap again. Yeah, I knew it. I connected the dots a little bit too late there. Jesus, that's embarrassing. But at least we did almost make it back up into the points with her. So, although a couple of driver errors did cause some problems, we almost made up for it. 4 stops. And this actually puts us really, really close to Verstappen, within 10 points. But if we lose the championship by 2 points, we know who stole those 2 points, even though, again, the only one to blame really is me. We win Red Bull second and third. Then we have Gasly, Bottas, and Leclerc, Stroll, Pochet, Behrman. Did not expect to see Behrman in a Haas scoring points, but he did. That's impressive. And as you see, we didn't actually score more points than Red Bull, which sucks, but it is what it is here. I did want to see, although I went a little bit too quick there, I did want to see how we're looking now compared to Red Bull. Didn't manage to get both into Q3 either. But I want to see what Haas was looking like, if they actually hadn't scored any points earlier this year. So let's just have a quick look at that. The standings here. That is Haas's first points, but Mercedes in 9th. That is kind of sad to see, honestly. Hopefully they can do some sort of recovery. But now, though, let's have a look at and see what we can do in terms of the car parts. We only had a rear wing fail. That is easily replaced. And I think we can manufacture a new one right away. Having 6 of them is probably a little bit overkill, but doesn't actually hurt. We have some driver attention here. Nyman minus affinity with the race engineer. Just have to deal with that. Nothing we really can do. And we have Austria coming up next, which should be somewhat interesting. And I think after that, we're going to have to just end this episode somewhat prematurely. Been a somewhat tiring and busy weekend. Car park test center has been refurbished. So I believe that does tell me that I was intending to develop some parts here to give Contreras more of a fighting chance. We have design center maximized. We have suspension car park test center maximized. We're refurbishing the factory. Level 3 is more than enough. And again, the upkeep here does go onto your cost caps. There's no reason to upgrade it any further. Cost cap wise, we're not looking great, honestly. We're not even halfway through the season, and we have only 50 million left. And for Contreras, we're going to need a new engine and a new ERS, so that's 7.5 million off. So that does also limit severely our capabilities in terms of actually making new components for Contreras, honestly. It puts us in a bit of a weird situation, but I think we might just still do it. We'll have to see. Research for next season could also be very, very good. But as the Red Bull develops a little bit further, it's going to be even harder to snatch points of them. So yeah. I think we're just going to have to bite our teeth here and not really take any penalties at Austria. I think that is just what we're going to have to do. Factory has been refurbished, very good. But I'm still a little bit uncertain how we want to handle this. Chassis has been researched. Small gain here, but as you can see, the airflow middle here going up as much as it has is actually pretty important. And I want to have a look here and see, do we have any CFD periods available? In 3 days, we're going to have more CFD time. If we were to make a chassis, could we make anything that is an upgrade? Is the question. Very, very minor, honestly. Front wing, if we make anything here, what can we do? What would be an upgrade? Okay, we lose some brake cooling, but could be actually a decent enough upgrade. Cornering ability would be neat. But yeah, nothing major there. The rear wing. Again, sacrificing cornering on the rear wing is probably not recommended. But it is how I've elected to do things. Now, this would be a small... Again, most of these are small upgrades, but they are significant. We could use safety time on the rear wing, is what I'm thinking. Because if we have a look at the research here and what we expect for next year, we're going to be losing a lot of airflow. We're going to be losing some cooling. And that is the same for everything. Airflow sensitivity, airflow front, and airflow sensitivity, airflow front, middle, and sensitivity. On the sidebars here, we basically cancelled it out already. The underfloor, the airflow sensitivity just following other cars, is not something that is massively concerning to us. So for the rear wing here, since the only thing we're losing is airflow sensitivity, we can actually go ahead and develop it this year. Now, the airflow middle that we're losing on the chassis is a concern though. So what I'm thinking here is that we actually just start a new project immediately because we have the suspension finishing in a day. And we're going to go ahead and start another chassis research project where we're going to focus on airflow middle. The engine cooling is already rather high, so it's not really a concern. As long as we have this above 60%, I'm usually very, very happy about it. So we're just going to focus on getting that airflow up because the airflow is cornering ability, and that is, again, king. Cornering ability is worth more than top speed, unfortunately. Top speed is very, very nice on some tracks, but cornering ability will usually help you on every track. So it is my design philosophy in this game. It's working pretty well so far, but that doesn't mean you should completely neglect your top speed. But for now, this is what we're going to be sticking with. We're just going to use one engineer, and we're probably going to nab this one and improve that rear wing a little bit more. Now, if we go into car analytics here and take the rear wing and compare it to the Red Bull's rear wing, ours is still really, really good. We have a lot of drag reduction, a lot of DRS delta compared to the Red Bull's wing, so there's not really much we can improve on here. Red Bulls does have a speed though in airflow sensitivity. They haven't actually lessened their lifespan yet. They do also got us on the cornering department, so we could make a rear wing that improves our cornering abilities, and that probably would be a more beneficial way of using the CFD time this time around. So we'll have to see exactly what we do after this race, but for now, we're just going to head into this race weekend. Both cars Q3, Q2. Shouldn't be an issue. We're just going to head into this race weekend with the sprint and see how well we can perform. So let's go to Austria and see if we can grab another win. So after just getting off one interesting race weekend, we're probably going to have another interesting race weekend here for a couple of reasons. One, it's going to be raining at the, probably just a practice, not the sprint, as it usually is. But we're going to have light rain for the race itself, which is going to spice things up a little bit. Now, secondly, we have a problem here with the ERS. We only have one left. It's hitting 40%, which means that we're going to be buying a new one at this race weekend. And that is going to hurt. Let's be honest. That is going to hurt. We're going to have to make our way through the sprint. We're just going to have to pray there's no rain there, so we can actually have a decent starting position come the race itself. But it's definitely not going to help us in any way, shape, or form. We're also going to use the new engine here. New gearbox, everything. It's not going to be a good year for Contreras in terms of penalties and parts used, but that is just how things are shaping up. And even for Nyman here, that gearbox is wasted, but that should be fine. But as you might expect, it's going to be a very, very interesting weekend. We're going to have to take the penalty here, take the engine penalty some other time. Taking both at the same time would probably be preferable, but I don't want to take the engine penalty here too, when we are going to have potentially light rain in the sprint, potentially light rain for the race. We're kind of forced to take the ERS penalty, so we'll have to take the two separately, and we'll have a little bit of a think of where we want to take that engine penalty. Maybe if we have bad quality somewhere, we'll take it. So we've been forced to take the ERS here, and we'll just have to deal with it. Let's see how quality goes and where we line up for the sprint itself. So quality went really well here. We qualified 1-2. We have Verstappen behind Norris, which is kind of what we like to see. Russell is also taking penalty here, as well as Lawson and Schumacher. And, well, we'll just have to do the best that we can during the sprint. Nyman is going to be out front. Hopefully, she can hold the Red Bulls behind, because if not, we're going to have a pretty bad time. Let's just put it like that. And before we go to the sprint, we are going to, of course, have P2 here, which means that we, unfortunately, are going to have to do a little bit of clicking in order to switch the car parts and, well, save them as much as possible. It's just how it is. It is the best way to make sure your car parts survive as long as possible. And with that said now, we're actually not the best in terms of track acclimatization, car parts knowledge before this race, but it's still okay. It's not great or anything in terms of the confidence, so we are going to need to get some overtaking done in order to boost that for the sprint. And the sprint itself is going to be sunny, and soft tires, medium tires, not really a good choice for us because we are going to be degrading pretty quickly. The best choice for us is probably going to be go on the hards and go full attack, but even that is going to be somewhat risky because of the fact that we have higher degradation than other teams. So unless we have an incident, this is probably not going to work out very well, but we could go hards, then go aggressive for a couple of laps and, you know, work from there. Now, we only do have, as you can see, an extra set of hards. So for the race itself, we're probably going to have to go medium, hard, medium. And I'm fine with that. It should be okay. So we're going to use a hard tire here for the sprint for both our drivers and try and make something out of it from there. Now, it says we're starting first for the sprint, which probably is correct. Sprints do kind of tend to be a little bit weird with penalties, so we'll see where we actually end up starting here. If we start first and take the penalty for the race, I'm kind of fine with that too. It's probably how it should work. So, yeah, we might have shot ourselves in the legs here, but honestly, if we can win the sprint, we can get at least a couple of points potentially on Verstappen. And if we lose that again during the race, so be it. It's just going to have to be how things be. Now, we are running a fresh engine, fresh ERS, fresh-ish gearbox. Well, fresh, everything really for Contreras, so she should have a little bit of an advantage with that going for her. But yeah, let's see if we can actually score some decent points here during the sprint. I was hoping the penalty would be taken here, but it is kind of weird how the rules behaved. But clearly, we're taking the penalty for the race rather than the sprint. Everyone else are mediums, which means that, well, the tires are going to be somewhat gunned by the end. And that is a really bad start for Nyman. She might actually be jumped here by Leclerc as well. So that tells you just how bad that start really was there. But we'll try and make the best out of this. Confidence is going to be an issue, as I said. But there's not really anything we can do about that. We do need high confidence to boost our drivers, but at the current stage, there's no real easy way of getting that confidence. Nyman is doing the best here to hold up Norris, and we actually have Leclerc holding up Verstappen, so something did happen further back as well that we have somewhat benefited from. So Nyman could actually end up playing a pretty key role in holding up the rest, and if we DRS off each other, we might actually be able to get away from the Red Bulls and potentially build a little bit of confidence from DRSing off each other. That is kind of risky, though, with our current drivers. So, while it might sound like a good idea, it does come with a certain amount of risk. So, we'll see if we can make something happen. We put both of them down. Confidence is high. Peak here for Nyman, so it is somewhat working. And we'll just allow them to do the DRS off each other. I am going to tune both down to aggressive here for a couple laps, just to be on the safe side, in terms of degradation. And if we see Norris and Leclerc catch up, they actually are immediately. We're just going to have to tune it up to attack again and pray that we can survive till the end, I think. I think that is just what we're going to have to do here, unfortunately, to make this happen. But now that we'll just speed along here and see if we can get a good result from this sprint without taking each other out. We're getting very close now to the end of the sprint with just a few laps to go. We have a decent gap here to Norris and Verstappen, for sure. The degradation was higher than anticipated, so we had to tune it down to aggressive. But even then, we have been able to kind of keep on extending the gap here, so I can't really complain. And they've been doing well so far, in terms of not murdering each other. But we are going to probably forcefully slow down Nyman at this stage for two reasons. We want her to, well, not win the sprint. We want to give that to Contreras to give us the best chance of well, we might as well just go don't find teammate. Put it to standard. We want to give Contreras the best chance of fighting Verstappen. So while it sucks to do team orders, makes it less fun, we're going to kind of go all in here in order to try and get as much as we can for Contreras. And we do gain a few points on Verstappen with this sprint win, with him finishing 4th. So that is definitely good for us. Now we are going to have to take the penalty for the race itself, most likely. We should have to anyways. So looking forward to seeing if we can, you know, make something back. But that hard stint with us gaining 9 seconds does give me hope. Provided, of course, that we do not start with wet weather immediately. Actually, it starts pretty early here with the rain coming around. Yeah, that's going to take a while to build up to actual inters. Probably not going to hit inters until lap 35 or so. Could we start on a medium tire and just go full attack? We could. What if we go on a hard tire? We'll probably have to pit before the rain. So the best bet we have here is actually doing 2 mediums full attack, most likely. I think that is what we're going to have to do. Because once we go into the inter, it doesn't matter if we just done medium. That's perfectly fine. So we'll do that for now. We'll start in the mediums for both cars. Could start on the hards for Nyman to switch it up. But even then, I don't think that's going to benefit her in the long run. Nyman does have better, you know, handling, but getting to lap 35 on one set of tires here, we can do about 25 laps on the hard tire. It's either this is probably what we're going to end up doing for both drivers. It's either this or medium. I think that is the best we can do here. And we are going to take a quick look before we go on the compound performance. And the soft tires here have a 2/10 advantage. But with 200 more degradation, they only keep that advantage for 10 laps. Mediums here don't really keep advantage long either, for about 15 laps. So with that in mind, there's no real reason for us to touch the softs unless we have to. Hards are actually really good. And we probably want to go on to medium then hard for Contreras as well. So we'll try this, see what we can do out of it. Because we're running aggressive strategies, we're going to have to pit more often than the rest. So potentially hard runner, mediums, they might actually be able to stay out until the rain arrives. So it's going to be pretty important for us to get as many overtakes done as early as possible to make up for, to get confidence for one, but also to get ourselves into a good window for pitting.
Overtake available.
It's going to be rough. Now, decent stuff in Nyman. Does hold on. Could get Norris into the corner, but a little bit too passive maybe. But running in second is perfectly fine. Verstappen is down in 4th. We have Pocher being a little bit of a annoyance there. Definitely benefits us. Contreras has made up a place already. And if we can keep that going, that's going to be really good for us.
Now this was at turn 3. The opportunity begging to be taken.
Kind of the hold up there for everyone did slow everyone down a little bit, which is good because if Ocon falls back a little bit further here, the DRS gaps are going to be easy for us to deal with, and that's kind of going to be what we need here. Use DRS to overtake. So the more gaps form, the better, and hopefully we can, as I said, make something happen here. For now though, having Nyman run basically close to Norris as possible will be sweet, but Norris is really quick, and that is making life a little bit rough here. Although Contreras should be able to get that move done. She does. And with that, we move up to 8th. So if we can get Gasly and Ocon here in quick succession, that would be really good for us. We're also going to go ahead here and push... Oh, why did you brake there? I saw Contreras slow down a little bit, but I guess it's wasn't enough room on the track or something. But we are also going to push fuel here a little bit further than anticipated. Did actually do the wrong thing there. Wanted to deploy so we could get the Merc. There we go. We're actually quite a lot quicker than the Merc, as evident by the fact that we're 9th in the championship currently, so no reason why we shouldn't just go on the offensive. Okay, Contreras can now start hunting down Leclerc, Verstappen, Pocher. Nyman is running with Norris at the moment, which is fine for us. It's actually very good. And we'll be pushing fuel a little bit further than maybe anticipated, but that shouldn't actually be an issue either. For now, we'll keep on attacking and see if we can get ourselves into position where we, well, can be decent after our first pit stop. We're getting very closer to the pit stop. Contreras is actually running with Verstappen, having done very well at get overtakes done. And we are getting high confidence on both our drivers as a result. But what we're going to do is pit Contreras on this lap. And we are going to go for the hards. We need to survive until lap 35. We're going to be coming out all the way towards the back. But that shouldn't really be a large concern here. Because by the time we, as you can expect here, everyone else is going to have to pit too before we get to the rainy period proper. So I'm not worried about the current scenario unless this little water right here is enough to go over 1 millimeter. So that is the concern. But as you can see, grip is going up. It's going to remain stagnant and then it's going to start going down. So I would assume around here is when we're actually going to end up needing to pit for inters. And Contreras comes out in, again, not the best window. We're going to have to do a lot of overtaking. But that shouldn't really be a concern here. Now that we have fresher tires, confidence is going to be boosted too. And as I said, most other cars are going to have to pit at one point. So while going aggressive here can definitely backfire, I think it's a risk that we kind of had to take here. So we'll try and move both cars up as quickly as possible and see if we can get back to the lead by the time we pit for inters. Kind of to prove my point here, Magnus and Albon has both ended up pitting right now. We even had Leclerc pit a little bit earlier. And as you can see, we're currently at 50% on these tires. They have about 30% left on them. So before we get to the rain, they should have to pit unless they're going to be risking punctures. So while we are a little bit behind right now, I don't think it's going to hurt us in the long run. I think it's fine. And that is kind of the basis of this strategy of pitting somewhat early. For now, though, we're just going to stay out, keep on doing this, Pocher's pitting. And as you can see, as long as we jump Verstappen by doing this, I think we are going to be very happy with the strategy that we've chosen. I don't have to do much. Nyman and Contreras are kind of just flying by the rest of the pack here on their own. Kind of what you'd expect. Because of the DRS zones, Nyman might need a little bit help here, but gets the move done on the second zone. So yeah, the DRS here being very helpful for us in terms of catching up to other cars. And right now we're about 15 to 16 seconds behind Norris. We're less than that behind Verstappen. So you can see that we are gaining a couple of seconds a lap here currently. So we are flying compared to the rest of the field. And as I said, both Verstappen and Norris are going to have to pit before the rain comes proper. As an example, we can actually see Norris in the pit lanes here. And as you can see, we have gained a sizable gap on him with both cars. Although we're currently having a little bit of a problem here with Gasly being a nuisance. Contreras did get the move done. And we can expect Nyman to get the move done now too. Rain has started, but as you can see, it's going up incredibly slowly here. And Verstappen is getting onto, well, very much his last legs here. But we are a little bit concerned ourselves, because if it does not get too super rainy quick enough here, we might actually be putting ourselves into a position where we don't have enough tire to really make anything to stay out for long enough. We need to stay out for at least 5 more laps, maybe even longer, because it seems like the rain is getting further and further away. And as such, we might have been a little bit too aggressive with going attack. We have a little bit of gap to Norris. Verstappen is down in 9th now, so definitely he has not gambled correctly. He has gone for a soft tire though, so he's going to be quick. Norris is also going to be quick, but we're just going to be staying out here, running them on aggressive and trying to make the best that we can out of this before we get to proper rain. So for now, it's just a waiting game. We had a small incident here with Contreras running wide, which has allowed Norris to catch up. Nothing too major, luckily, no crashes, but it has allowed Norris to catch up, and we can only hope that we can stay with him and have him kind of act like a pulley system. But yeah, basically Norris now is going to be our taxi, hopefully. Maybe, we can always hope. Because as you can see, we're on lap 36. We're probably not going to get into proper rain here until lap 45 if it keeps on going like this. So we might have definitely miscalculated quite harshly here, and that might really mess us up. So we'll just have to try and keep going at the current rate. Honestly, there's nothing much else I can do. But yeah, it's not looking good. I really wish that on these previews you got a little bit more information on what levels they're at, because usually this would be around a millimeter. So it's annoying. Again, it's been a long-term complaint of mine, if you will. But it is what it is. Now, Contreras, we're just going to have to stay out with, I think. Going on Inters now would be probably worse than pitting for softs. So, well, it is going to suck. We're just going to have to slow down a little bit. And run for a couple more laps like this, then probably try and just jump in on some Inters. That 2 minutes rain is just gonna be what we're going to have to go for. Verstappen has overtaken Nyman. And she too is going to have to slow down in a little bit. But as one might expect, the low gain here on the rain is definitely our Achilles heel right now. They had a better strategy than us. And Contreras now is getting into puncture territory, so we're just going to have to jump in here for the inter tires. I don't see any other choice, really. Because this should just keep on going up and going up and going up. It's either that or we go for softs and go super aggressive. But if I was going to do that, I would have done it a lot earlier. So it is a bit of a hard choice here. Honestly, Gasly's getting into that same hard choice. Leclerc, Albon, Bottas. Red Bull's actually had a really good strategy here. So we're just going to have to pit for, as I said, the Inters. And Nyman here just falling backwards right now. So I'm thinking we're going to allow her to run one more lap and then we pit her as well. Or we might as well just get her in now at the same time. And then have them just run conserve for a lap or two on those Inters. I don't see any other choice. And that is going to suck massively here. Yeah, and we're running... This is not representative, don't get me wrong. But we're definitely not running really well on these tires at all. Let's see if we can... How these Inters compare to the rest of them. Nyman isn't actually having any problems running standard and keeping up with the show ahead. So there's at least some point in going Inters. But we probably, as I said, went on a little bit too soon. It is what it is, though. Leclerc has chosen to go on Inters here. We kind of need to try and just keep these tires alive at the current moment. So that they don't completely fall off. As you can see, Gasly Porsche has chosen to pit. What are our lap times looking like compared to the rest of the field? 1:10. So we're getting really close right now to the right decision, so to speak. Norris pits, it should come out way ahead of us. Same actually with Verstappen. So I guess to go for this race is actually going to just get on the podium. We could potentially get Verstappen here, but it's gonna be a rough one. We still have DRS. That's the thing. Tune these up to aggressive, I think is doable. And Stroll right now is doing a good job of slowing Verstappen down somewhat. But yeah, this is definitely a weird scenario for sure. And we might even get to a little bit of dry there for the last couple of laps. But yeah, getting third is probably going to be Contreras' goal. For Nyman, she's going to have a rough time. It really lost out on staying out long. Probably should have ran that medium stint aggressive and then full attack on the hard stint. For now, though, we don't really have much we can do. We're just going to have to handle this the best that we can. Handle temps. And then... try and make sure that we can actually keep these tires alive until we get to the end of this this stint here, the race, so to speak. 20 more laps, and we have a safety car. Who has had an incident here? Bottas.
Safety car, follow the reference, follow the
That
reference.
does throw a wrench into the plans for sure, but this
Stay
should
positive.
allow us to run full attack till the end. We're also going to get some excess fuel. So it's not bad, honestly. It does benefit us. It's just a bit of a shame that an Iman was about to start launching attacks when it happened. But this is going to allow us to go, as I said, a little bit more on the offensive. And that would benefit us in the long run for sure. But yeah, Nyman definitely lost out by having us stay out as long as we did. Should have pitted her a little bit earlier. Didn't expect her hitting yellow would have that much of a negative effect. These tires should survive on full attack till the end. Even though it is drying right now, so managing these tires is going to be a pain. But it's nothing much else we can do. We're just going to have to deal with it. Safety car is ending this lap.
Safety car in this lap. Safety car in this lap.
We are on the dry side, so I believe that means we will get DRS. Not on this lap, but the next. That could make things a little bit spicy, although it looks like Contreras is already considering an attack, but in fact, Russell's the one attacking us. So, going very aggressive on this safety car restart. And as you can see, we lost a lot of confidence from running wide, getting overtaken. So we're currently not in a good position at all, I dare say. We're currently in a very, very bad position that is gonna be troublesome to recover from. We're gonna need a couple of good moves from both of our drivers in order to do that. And instead, we actually lose a position here and already have fallen a second behind them. So it is a bit rough, honestly. These tires can go up to 105 degrees, so we'll try and manage that. But honestly, it's not looking great. It really isn't. I think we're going to recharge, go down to aggressive for both. I think we really have a choice. Nyman is not handling the rain very well, already losing out to the cars behind quite massively. Contreras, we just need to get a recharge and then get close to Russell, and then we can launch an attack. So, yeah, Nyman just not doing well at all right now. There's just no other way around it. Even running aggressive is a little bit too much for these tires right now. There is going to be 2-3 laps there of soft tire running too, so that is going to make things really, really interesting. Contreras gets the move done on Russell. Should give us a little bit of fresh air. Can actually maybe get the move done on Verstappen here too, on this lap. That would be key. Can you launch it? You did. You can. I want to see the replay.
Right then, we can take a look now. Now the Alpha Tauri involved here.
Just drag race up towards the corner. Pretty good. But yeah, this does, again, just pose a little bit of problems for particularly Nyman here. Just isn't quick enough right now on the wet. Contreras is creating a gap to Verstappen, which is huge. We're going to need that. I think we can go full attack, although she locked up and lost out. Because why wouldn't she? Austria is cursed for me, I'll be honest.
And the car fails to respond.
We can maybe catch up enough here that we... Another yellow? That was Nyman for sure.
Let's have a look at that. Now we're just proceeding through turn 4. Oh, and the car locks up.
It was indeed Nyman, and with that he's in last place. Minor underfloor damage to boot. That is not great. Okay, so we're gonna focus on Contreras again, which sucks.
Rain, Yeah. No.
But we're just going to have to try and do the best that we can out of this. Honestly, pitting right now is probably the best thing we can do. Because everyone is going to have to pit, most likely. And if they don't, yeah, we're going to pit this lap. We're going to gamble hard on pitting this lap. It is slightly early, don't get me wrong, but the pit stops are fairly long around here. And I think some other cars might take the advantage of trying to pit right now. It is going down pretty quick too, so pitting right now is not a bad idea. Both Red Bulls pit, which is not great for us. They're going to hold us up in the pits most likely. Oh, did we beat one Red Bull out? We did. We beat Verstappen out. Gasly held him up. So yeah, definitely some madness going on right now. And we even had another lockup there from Nyman on the way to the pits. So with that, we actually just have Norris ahead of us. We did jump cars in the pit stops, and that is Gasly just straight up ghosting through us. But he is being a little bit of a nuisance, but it should be fine. Lyman, unfortunately, no benefits from pitting so far. We'll have to see if Contreras can jump the other cars in the pits. And Schumacher still hasn't pitted. We're going to give Contreras the full deploy option. See if we can get by Norris. We can. We also snuck by the rest of the cars. That is beautiful. And Norris is still getting held up a little bit there.
Right, so this was the fourth corner.
Okay, so we didn't actually get to see how we got Norris, but that is massively. That is massive for us. That is English. So, the tragedy has been somewhat recovered, but Norris is quicker than us if he runs full attack. That's the thing. If I turn this up to hard, we have no chance of even fighting against these guys. That is why we're still on standard difficulty. That's just how much your drivers have to say here. And again, Nyman just isn't having a good time. I don't think even if I micromanage her over the course of a full race, that the incident she gets involved in, I'd be able to manage. And right now, this is beautiful. We have Verstappen down in 5th, who is the main concern. Nyman is actually potentially making it up into the points again. So maybe I shouldn't be as negative as I am, but the very low confidence here is definitely going to be a problem. We already have bad stats. Losing 4 of them in 5 stats is not gonna help us in any way, shape, or form, as one might expect here. So we're gonna try and get some overtakes done, get confidence back up, but there's nothing really we can do at this stage. Looks like Verstappen is gonna come 5th, which is gonna be, as I said, pretty massive for us. Nyman just doesn't have the oomph here to get a point. I think we don't have enough of a car that can push to make that happen. Contreras does get the win. Nyman, unfortunately, is going to finish 13th, most likely. But still, I'd say that was a fairly decent comeback, although we did definitely get saved by the track going dry at the end there. So, thank you, Bottas, for crashing out. You handed the win to us. And this time we actually did get the fastest lap too on a driver that scored points. So, that is another positive effect here. Red Bull 2nd with Norris, then we have Gasly in 3rd, Russell 4th, Verstappen 5th, Albon 6th, Ocon 7th, Show scoring points, Magnus scoring points. Actually, both Mercs in the points here, they almost double their current point gain. Lawson scoring points for Alpha, so it's definitely pretty weird here in terms of point scoring. But with that said, the only 2 drivers that haven't scored points is Sargent and Nick here, De Vries, so I'm looking forward to seeing this season, how it develops. We did catch a couple of points on Red Bull this time around. But because of Nyman, we, as I said, probably don't have any chance of winning the Constructors unless she gets more reliable. But Contreras does have a decent chance now winning the Drivers' Championship. And that is what we're going to be aiming for sure. Did spend $2.5 million on an ERS. And seeing that we took the penalty and still won, I'd say we can't really complain. But Nyman is definitely a bit of a weak point right now, and that is really, really concerning. She has not gotten she's gone up to 67, but not gotten the point in braking, unfortunately. That sucks. Really wish it would prioritize the lower stats. That would benefit more. But with that said, we are currently heading the championship. We have a good 15-point lead. So we're going to be going for the driver championship this year, which means that we might, as I say, start using ATR periods to improve certain facets of the car. We'll have a look at what we can do with the rear wing and the suspension for that matter next time around. But we're going to be ending today's episodes here. I hope you still enjoyed. We have focused a little bit more on the races here, but it has actually, again, kind of like we were seeing with Around the Grid, if any of you saw that. We've had closer racing, which has meant that things have been more interesting. So as things are more interesting, I'll be adding more of the race content. If we were running out front, 10 seconds, you'd probably just skip to the end. So that is basically how I'm doing things. Let me know how you think. If it's good or bad. I don't know why my English vocabulary is completely failing me today. I was doing the same yesterday, honestly, but it is what it is. Thank you for watching. Hope you've enjoyed. Hope to see you all next time. Bye bye.